90% of the time, people do one direct mail campaign and quit.
You teach people how to do this themselves so they can do it themselves.
Like I said, you can turn a lot of those so-called negatives into positives.
Welcome everybody to the show. This show is created to help business owners start or grow their real estate investing business by bringing you guests that can share their journey with you so you can not only learn from their successes, but more importantly, learn from some of their failures. I want to encourage anyone to realize there is unlimited potential and they can get anywhere they want to by working smarter. So hopefully this conversation will prove it to you and help you to work smarter. Remember, when you want to get somewhere or get something done, don't ask, how can I do it? But more importantly, who can get me there? So I'm Tony Javier, 20-year real estate investor, and I'm known as a TV guy. If you want to dominate your market with TV commercials, go to 10xtv.co. Again, 10xtv.co. So we're actually partnering with other people in real estate markets with TV. So if you want to go there and find out more, we'd love to have a conversation with you. So super excited to have with me Mr. Phillip Vincent. What's up, Phillip?
Hi, Javier. How are you today?
Doing good, man. Doing good. So I love having guests like you on the show because you have something really unique to share, something that I don't know that anybody else or not very many people are doing around the country. So I'll kind of let you get started. Tell people who you are, how you got started, and kind of your journey to where you are today.
Sure. You said something in your opening intro about failing, my failures. Not to start with a failure, but I think, man, didn't we all get into real estate to buy houses? And we realized really quickly we're actually in the marketing business. And then you get to pick your poison of how you want to do marketing. There's 100 ways you could get real estate leads, right? And so today, things like do the television well, and I do this thing called Mom's House, this senior living, these people moving into senior living. And it's, to be clear out of the gate, I want to tell you what I'm not. It's not the act of owning a single family home that you do residential care at. It's everyone that moves into senior living. If Javier and Philip are brothers and we move mom into senior living, it's that transition from the forever home into what's probably going to be their final resting place. They have about a 28-month life there at the care community, whether it's assisted living, independent living, memory care, they're called SNF. Those are the ones that they're usually called. But that's that pre-probate. That's before they've passed away. They need to sell their house, Javier, so that they can unlock that equity to pay for the very expensive care. And so my journey started like most of us. I've done every type of marketing. I'm a little bit unique that I've worked for some companies that do a few hundred deals a year. So I saw what it took to be at that scale from a marketing perspective. And so I have a lot of perspective on what it takes to make your phone ring. You know, we're actually in a leads business. I think, you know, what do you have until you have your phone ringing with leads? You don't really have much. And so I love this subject of leads. I love talking about things like TV and, you know, direct mail and 100 different ways we can make our phone ring. But this is something unique because there's no one else really in my market in the nation doing what I teach.
Yeah. So there's list providers that will provide probate leads, right? And I think you and I, or you and your business partner and I, have had the conversation about the difference between like a probate lead and what you guys provide. Can you explain that?
I would love to. So Javier, I love probate leads, but they're my second favorite lead by a distance, because if Philip and Javier are brothers and our mom has passed away and that probate case is opened, you and I are going to fight for every dollar because it's our inheritance. And so it's what's in it for us, right? But if our two brothers, again, are moving mom into senior living, like that 28 months before she passes, that money's going to go for her care. So it comes down to, I trust this guy more than am I getting the top dollar? Because this money, whether you get, 92 grand for the house or 96 grand or 88 grand, that money's going to sit in an account, meaning me and you aren't going to touch it. It's for mom's care. And I'm not going to say that price doesn't matter, but what I found is it kind of doesn't matter, because it's just going to sit there until it's whittled away before things like Medicaid kick in anyway.
Yeah. We've had plenty of those deals where they were in a nursing home. They were going to be passing away within the next probably year or so. And you're right, it didn't matter. But I think the only thing is that they had to sell it for a fair amount. So do they have to get appraisals on properties like that before they hit Medicaid or Medicare, or is it after they...
Yeah, great question. So let's talk about a house and a fair offer, right? If the assessed value is $100,000 and you sell it for $60,000, you're going to have a problem with Medicaid because they'll look at that as a $40,000 gift. And that's bad for the family. That will kick them out of Medicaid coverage until that's recouped. And so that's a problem. So as a real estate professional, whether you're a real estate agent or you file your taxes as a real estate professional, it's kind of like the term, the BPO or broker price opinion. I'm just going to use that name. That's not legally what it's called. When you give that family family and their attorney the rehab numbers, my rehab numbers. They put it in the file to show the difference between the assessed value and the rehab it needed. And so do you think the judge looks at my numbers and goes, 4,500 for pain? I think they can paint for 3,500. No, he doesn't have time for that, right? He doesn't have time for any of that. So he's not going to scrutinize the numbers. He just needs it. The judge just needs it in there to show why this was sold at that amount. And you will want that for future Medicaid. So I've done hundreds of deals that had that included, and I've never lost a deal because of it. So you just have to know how to work these deals the right way.
Gotcha. So you're basically finding people way before probate. So that's the big thing. And that's why we love TV, is that we find people that are maybe not on lists or not on lists yet, and even before then. So it sounds like you're doing the same thing, is you're teaching people and showing people how to find these leads before hundreds of other real estate investors are potentially sending mail to them.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a second. Direct mail is tried and true, right? I'm not going to knock direct mail, but bluntly, it's a spray and pray method. Why do you mail to people over the age of 65 that have lived there over 20 years and have equity? You're doing that in the attempt, you're trying to narrow it down that they might need to move. Guys, where are they moving to? Let me give everybody as a numbers person a stat that I want you to take away from this. People always say, Philip, what a nice little niche you're in. And I always laugh because they don't understand the numbers yet. 7 out of 10 Americans over the age of 65 will live in some sort of assisted care before they pass away. About 5% of Americans can write that check every month out of their checking for that expensive care. The other 95% are going to need to sell off assets like mom's house to pay for that care. And so this is real estate for the next 15 years. I've already been doing this. I've been in real estate 24 years, but senior living for the last 11. I was just ahead of my time. The boomers are getting ready to take off right now, Javier. We have a 15-year run right now in front of us going forward. So guys, this isn't something that you're too late for. This is now. This silver tsunami is happening right now.
Yeah, man, fascinating. What's going to happen after that 15 years, you think? I know that's kind of like way down the road, but what happens when the baby
hopefully me and you'll be retired and just be on the pickleball court together in 15 years. But will people stop getting old in 15 years? Of course not. What we're talking about is this gigantic wave. They call it the silver tsunami. There's about 54 million Americans over the age of 65 now. And in less than 8 years, there's almost going to be 74 million Americans. You can look at the charts to see that we are an aging nation, and it's getting worse. It's so bad that you've heard, it's supposed to be a political conversation today, but we've heard about Joe Biden trying to take away the 1031 exchange. Why? To pay for in-home healthcare, to pay our nieces and nephews to take care of our grandparents so they stay in the home longer, so they don't hit the Medicaid. I'm going to use the word beds. They don't hit the Medicaid rooms because we don't have enough of them built as a nation. It's in the nation's best interest to subsidize that so they don't have to go on the Medicaid plan. It's a crazy world, Javier.
Yeah, that's interesting. So tell us how you got into this. You said you've been in senior living for 11 years or so. So how did you come up with this? Where did you start it from? And kind of tell us about that a little bit.
Sure. It was born out of laziness, if you can believe that. What I mean by that is I hate working crappy leads. When I talk to investors every day and they say they're cold calling or they say they're doing text message blasting, I'm just like, or bandit signs, I'm just like, oh gosh, I'm glad that's not my life anymore.
Like brain damage.
It hurts me, right? And I'm to the point now where my leads chase me. I have a business that comes directly to me. And Javier, I'm only dealing with people that want my service. So I close about 4 out of 10 houses that I look at. And what's the industry average? Like 0.5. So,
usually 20. Yeah. 20.
1 out of 20.
Yeah. 20 right? 20 to 4. If it's texting and cold calling, it's more like 30, 40, 50.
So I was being nice when I said 1 out of 20, right?
Yeah.
And so why am I 8 times better than the industry average? I'm not a ninja negotiator. It's because people want to work with me. In fact, they're raising their hand saying, this is the flashpoint. I need to sell my house now. So I'm only working with people that have raised their hand.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great. You found a niche. I mean, you said laziness. I totally get that. I mean, if you can do way less work and get the same results or better, why would you not do it? Right.
And the origin story, it was simply this. I was challenged with, I'm going to say the word stereotypes. In this case, it's a good thing. We were looking, I think in 2011, we bought like 66 houses that year. And we were like, what is the stereotype of this seller? What's going on with them? And I said this generic story that I'll say it to this day, that, dad died 8 years ago. Mom's been doing the best she can. The house is in dated shape. It's in okay shape, but it's dated and it's definitely full of stuff. What do you call a hoarder that you like? Is mom was a bit of an aggressive collector, right? And so these houses are very, very dated. That moment she fell again, it's almost always a fall, Javier. I read a story the other day that, write this down, everybody. If your parents live in a cluttered home, they're 64% more likely to have to move into senior living because of a fall. So fall risks are a big deal. They're being told by a doctor that they have to move. That's why that sense of urgency is there to sell. I'm not convincing them. I'm not motivating them. The doctor is doing that. And so when they come to me, they are ready to sell the house.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you say? Aggressive collector. I like
That's
that.
what, yeah, mom's a bit of an aggressive collector. That's what you call a hoarder that you like.
Nice. What are some lessons you learned along the way with, I mean, yeah, I guess it could be in general business or within that industry, but like I said in the intro, like the failures I feel like are almost the bigger learning lessons, because that's what allows, us to grow, right? We learn big lessons, but also for those that are listening, it could help them avoid some pain. So what are some lessons you say you learned along the way that may have been failures or things that held you back that knowing now you would do differently?
Great question. I feel like there's this book called Fail 10 Times that I haven't written yet, but that's going to be the name of it. I feel like we don't fail enough. We're so scared. And what I see in the industry with people starting off in real estate is that they'll fail one time and then get out of the business. Guys, if I failed one time, I'd be successful at nothing in this life, right? You have to fail forward and learn from your mistakes. And I think what happens is, and I'll just give you one stat, one of the biggest direct mail people in the nation, buddy Corey, his name is Corey, tells me that 90% of the time people do one direct mail campaign and quit.
Right.
And do you guys think that's because they're retired on the beach from that one drop, or do you think it's because they didn't get the results that they wanted? Obviously it's the latter. And so we want to blame everything. Well, that doesn't work, or that doesn't work. So you got to find what fit. Don't lie to yourself about your own personality, about what you want to do. You can fill the gaps in around you, but you have to find what is fulfilling to you. And I think the Mom's House, what we do with this is that we lead with the heart. And some people are very transactional and this won't go well for them. And some people are very loving and they know how to put people first. And this word called empathy. If you don't know if you're empathetic, ask your mate. They'll tell you very quickly if you're empathetic or not. But when you lead with the heart in real estate, there's a bunch of money right behind it. But in senior living, you have to lead with empathy. That's what you have to be. And I feel like the lesson learned is, well, I'll tell them myself right now. I've been a home builder for 20 years and I stopped about 4 years ago because I was finally honest with myself, Javier, that I hated the home building process. I only did it because I like to create and I like to pick out the colors. So how ridiculous is that I went through all this trouble to fill this need that I had? I wasn't being honest with myself that I really hated most of it. And so I'm kind of the guy who did his business backwards. I started off in development and home building and worked my way back to wholesaling, but it's what I like. My favorite day is going to meet with 3 families that need to sell their house, unlocking their problems, seeing around the corner, fixing the things. I really get enjoyment out of connecting people. And in a time crisis, when they're moving mom into senior living, they need a lot more than just the house. And so I teach people how to look around the corner, fix the things you can fix for the family, being a better resource than just the house buyer, and doing it in a loving way. And a good example of that is a lot of our competitors will walk in the house, they'll have their hoodie up, and they won't make eye contact, and they'll walk through with an iPad, and they'll take a bunch of pictures, and they'll say, I'll email you an offer. And I'm like, what was that? You'd be at these cattle calls, like they took no time to build rapport. Guys, do you think it's a big deal when a family sells their forever home? I mean, my God, there's not a bigger deal. They're selling their life, all their memories, and let's not forget the stuff, Javier. People have way too much stuff. Look at the storage industry. What an American thing that is. We have so much stuff. It doesn't even fit in our houses. We have to buy storage units to hold the rest of our stuff. And it's epidemic of how much stuff we have, especially the seniors who have lived there 50 years. This business has kind of made me a minimalist just because I see these houses every day where the family's overwhelmed. And what is the stuff worth, Javier? Not much. In St. Louis, the average estate sale, when I say average, about 99% of the estate sales generate between $3,000 and $5,000 in revenue. That's how much all of mom and dad's stuff sold for. And the cost to put that sale on is between $3,000 and $5,000. So they don't know that they've netted zero till after the fact. And that's what's delaying them from moving mom into care quicker, because they can't rehab the house until they clean it out and get it fixed up. And that could punt mom's care down the road 6 months. And that's the danger of this. And that's, as a company, Mom's House is speeding up the senior living sales process. And that's why we've had so much success.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Yeah. You built a model that, you're really helping people. And, I think it's great when you can make money and help people at the same time. There's actually a guy the other day that I saw posted on Facebook. His team shirts say, "We help people and sometimes we buy houses." I thought that was kind of cool.
I love that.
Yeah. So cool. So tell me about your influences, like who influenced you? So behind any successful real estate investor or business owner, there's always going to be influences. There's going to be mentors. There's going to be coaches. There's going to be, people that you kind of look up to that help you get to kind of the next level. Now, I know for you look up to me for pickleball, right? So
sure, definitely.
So I'm just curious who you looked up to and kind of who you followed from a standpoint of, gurus, mentors, and people who helped you get to the next level.
Do you ever hear the saying that no one will ever tear you down that's doing more than you?
No, never heard that. That's
I
actually
love
that's
that.
actually that's actually kind of true, right?
Definitely true. No one's got time for, if they're successful, they're not picking fights on Facebook and they're not battling everybody over their opinions. I mean, I think someone who believes in their own opinions, I don't need Javier to feel the same way I do about a subject for me to feel my way. Then that's confidence, right? And I think when I've heard no a lot, right, in life, I've done many things where I've heard the word no. Like I was raised very religious, where I was knocking on doors as a kid. I was 0 for 11,000 on that. When you're 0 for 11,000 on something, you get some duck feathers kind of built up, right? I'm okay with a no, and I'm a good reader of people. And so my mentors, I think, are successful people, right? And the ones that tell you the warts and all, but how they got there is usually they just didn't do one thing and hit it out of the park. They had many failures, and being okay with, getting knocked down 8 times, but getting up 9 times is a good way to persevere or have some tenacity. And I think we're lacking that in the country right now. So, and to answer your question, my family, my father built a house for us when we were kids. Like I was around entrepreneurs, my cousins are home builders. And I'll never forget Javier. I was about 20 years old and he told me a story about a home builder that made $800,000 on one deal. And he goes, "Wouldn't you hate that?" And I go, "Hate what?" He goes, "Paying taxes on making $800,000. And I go, "What?" I'm 20 years old going, "No." I go, "That's exactly the problem I'm looking for." And it's a mindset of my cousin, who's a framer, makes great money, right? But he was, "Wouldn't you hate that?" He said about making $800,000. And I just think that's funny about how we look at the world, our perspective. Real estate is a life-changing business. I feel like what we talked about earlier about doing good and helping others is the American dream. And I've done it for so long now that when I hear about other types of real estate, I'm like, man, that sounds painful. And so I'm grateful. I'm not happy every day, Javier, but I am grateful every day that I get to do this, be on programs like this with you.
Yeah, absolutely. What's next for you guys? So you guys are doing some good stuff. I mean, when I heard about the thing, the amount of people that you're getting into your program and the amount of families that you guys are helping, those numbers are pretty awesome. So, with most entrepreneurs and visionaries, which I'm guessing you probably are the visionary, what is the next vision for you? Are there things you're wanting to implement within what you're doing now? Are there other businesses you want to start? Is there anything, I guess, what's down the road for you?
My wife asked me 3 years, she said, "What happens if you put your whole ass into mom's house instead of a half-ass?" And so for me, my problem is I've always had success with my half-ass. It's pretty productive half-ass that I have. And so I've been putting everything into mom's house with my partner, Ben. And, Javier, we set out 2.5 years ago to say, can we help 10,000 daughter Judys a month? And when I say daughter Judy, guys, what I mean is the adult child of the mom moving into senior living. So daughter Judy might be 65, might very well be 65, helping her 85-year-old mother move into senior living. So when I say daughter, I'm talking about an adult. I help those daughter Judys. We thought the goal was 10,000. We were woefully long. We think it's probably 30 to 50,000 families a month need to sell their house, need this service. They feel like they're on an island. They say, "I wish there would have been a book about that I could have read." So my partner, Ben, wrote a book called Paying for Long-Term Care. And so we're scaling up this business. We need coverage. We need empathetic coverage nationwide to help 30 to 50,000 families a month. That's where we're headed.
Amazing. Yeah, it seems like a big industry. I mean, the numbers you said, 60 some million baby boomer are over 65 years old right now.
53 right now, and in 8 years, by the year 2030, to be almost 74 million Americans over the age of 65.
Wow, that's crazy. That's a big number. So that is funny because people say small industry. I even thought the same thing myself. I'm like, that sounds like a great niche, but how many people can you really help? Right.
Well, and so let's take it a step further. This is really blowing your mind. $10 trillion in real estate are owned outright by boomers and their parents. There's 10 reasons why these are the best leads I've ever worked, and I'll take the Pepsi challenge with anyone. I want to give this away to anyone listening. I'm just going to give you, it's not a big sales pitch about what we do, but I'm showing you why I feel that these are the best leads. And if you have a better lead source, call me. I want to do it in my own market, right? That's how confident I am on this. But one of them is equity. If everybody you deal with owns the house outright, that's a deal that has potential if you can make the numbers work for both sides.
Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff. What are some other lessons you learned? Is there anything else you want to share that, our listeners could get value from? I mean, obviously you've been in the business. Did you say 25 years? Is that right?
This is my 24th year. I'm 44 and I built my first house when I was 20. So
wow,
I've been in this for 24 years now.
Awesome. So that's a lot of experience to share. What else could you share with the listeners that would be of value?
A life lesson or business lesson? Let me think. You can do the right thing and make a lot of money. I think a lot of people, there's people in our industry that teach us things like renegotiate on the last day or get out of this contract or back out of this contract. And I feel like the word investor, this is my challenge to everyone right now. If you go to your Facebook page or Instagram or whatever you have, it's your face and then some line about I'm an investor. That I word is funny because who is that word important to? I feel like it's important to us as an industry, but to the outside world, especially senior living, when they hear the word investor, all they hear is dun dun dun, right? And we have an industry problem, right? The iBuyers, or what did Open Door just get, a $63 million fine, right? And and I feel like in a time when they need a hug, that the iBuyers is not the right route for them. I always say that the mom's house is the anti-iBuyer, and I'm saying there's a way to do this business right and still make a great living. And I want to tell you about the F word right now, and it's fulfillment. I don't hear much talk about that fulfillment word in our industry, and what we do when you help others first, when you lead with that, is very fulfilling to see the weight come off of the shoulders of the families. And so this is a fulfilling way to do real estate.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What are some habits that you've learned over the years that have been great? Most successful business people have habits, whether it's a morning routine, whether it's, something you do every day to kind of help your business or to get you motivated for the day, whatever it is. What are some habits that you've learned over the years that you feel like have been good for you?
I call it yellow car syndrome. I'm going to say yellow car, yellow car, yellow car. And today when you guys drive home, you're all going to see a yellow car, right? It's you feed your brain what you want it to see. And I'm always looking for the opportunity, not to always take, but to also give. And so when I meet anyone, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. He sells garden hoses. I don't know why I'll ever need that, but it's going to go in my file. And you better believe I might find a person in the future that needs to buy a ton of garden hoses, right? So I love to connect humans. And a lot of times when you're a go-giver attitude and always looking for the opportunity, you'll get it back tenfold when you give a lot to everyone around you. And so guys, the opportunities are everywhere. Are you looking for them?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. One of my habits I do is every morning I try and ask myself a bunch of questions. And one of the questions is, what can I do for someone else today? And that just kind of gets me out of my head of like, I'm not just going to do something for myself in my business. I'm going to do something for somebody else. So I feel like just that, even if it's just like a quick text message, it takes like 3 minutes to send a thank you message to someone. And it just totally changes your perspective in your day.
I've got a simple one for everyone too. I try to smile at everyone that I see. And a lot of people don't ever get smiled at ever in their day. And that might be the one bright spot in other people's lives. We need more joy and happiness in this world. And that's something for free you can do to everyone that you meet.
Absolutely. I love doing that with kids. If kids look at me, I try and smile at them because those are the ones that you're going to form their brains the most. I mean, maybe one smile isn't going to, affect them long term, but it's something that I feel like I can do to help, people growing up. Just something small. I love it. Cool. Awesome, man. So you talked about, before we jumped on here, top 10 reasons why the leads that you provide or the leads that you help your clients with are better leads. So you're going to give away the link here to have people download that. Do you want to touch any more on that, on why those leads are the best leads that you can find?
Yeah. Do you want me to kind of go over a few of them?
Yeah.
I mean, I've got to memorize. Number one is I don't have to convince them of motivation, right? They are being told by a doctor that they have to move. The second reason is that they own the house outright 9 times out of 10. There might be a small second mortgage or maybe a reverse mortgage, but that's rare. The third reason is that this is a house that I can add value to. If every house was 2 years old, Javier, we'd have a lot less rehabs to do if every house was in great shape, right? We're looking for the houses that we can add value to, the houses that they've lived in for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, the dated houses. Mom might have got a new hot water heater and a new roof 3 years ago, but it's still the kitchen's from the wrong decade. Javier, they've lived in these houses so long that mom got her new kitchen in 1991 is when she got her new kitchen, because they bought it in 72, right? And so now that kitchen has to be replaced, and that's how long these families have lived here. The fourth reason is that there's less competition. It's never a cattle call. I might compete against a real estate agent sometimes, but my value prop is very different, but it's never me versus 100 other real estate investors. And then the fifth reason, it's a warm transfer of trust. There's about 52 job titles in senior living that have been fruitful for me. When they say, call Philip, he's the most trusted guy in town, he takes care of that. Transfer of trust is probably the most important of all the 10 things. Those 5 reasons weren't enough, guys, to be excited. The 6th reason, that these leads are free. When you build these relationships where the leads chase you, you become a tool for that person in senior living to fix a problem that they face every day, which is the home liquidity so they can pay for care. You've become their tool. The best leads in real estate are actually free if you can build the relationships. And then I think the last 2, we won't go through all 10, but the last 2 is that this is sustainable in any economy. People will age no matter who the president is, no matter what the economy is doing. This is a need. especially right now. If everyone can say it with me now, oh, shift. The market has changed in the past 100 days. That only makes my value prop go even higher because the past 2 years have been drunken market. That's changed, right? And then that F word, that fulfillment. This is a fulfilling way to do real estate. And so I want to share that with you guys. And the document expands upon each one of those just a little bit, just to say, hey, this is what this is like if you can build those relationships.
Awesome, man. Good stuff. Yeah. So give people that link and then how they can get a hold of you.
Yeah.
And, I'm sure some people would love to hear about your program and what you offer and how you can help people to get those leads that no one else is really getting or that most people are not fighting over.
Go to momshouse.com/10-reasons. 10-reasons. 10 reasons. Let me make sure I pull that up. Yes, it is 10-reasons. momshouse.com/10-reasons for that free PDF. What was the other question? Oh, about how to work with me? The same thing. Just take a look at that PDF and see if that's right for you. If it is, just momshouse.com. We're a national company, Javier. We're looking for more help. We have about 200 people in our program. I probably need at least 2,000 to cover the nation. So I'm only, 10% of the way there. This is not too late, or you're not too far behind. This is happening right now in front of us.
Cool. Awesome, man. Good stuff. Well, I appreciate you coming on here. Philip and I think we met before the mastermind we were a part of, but we see each other a couple times a year, gotten to know Philip, and we play pickleball twice a year, which is a lot of fun. So
it is. I've been traveling with my pickleball paddle, even in my carry-on. That's how serious we both love the game. So I've been traveling with it. I was just in Vegas this week, and I got to play a couple games. It's not only a senior loved game, but it's just a connecting to people game. And I think that's who we both are in general.
Actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, that'd be a great way to raise private money. Go hit the pickleball courts. Go, there's an older crowd that typically plays that. Yep. And I never thought about that approach. But, obviously it's fun and social. You want to have fun with them first, not just go there to do business, but could be a secondary benefit. And I will have to tell you that you got, I don't know if I told you this, but you got a lot better this last time we played. From the time we played before. So I want to
thank you very much. Yes. No, I play, I tell people this is the first habit or vice that I have that's good for me in my life. Right. And so it's a great way to do cardio without having to think about cardio.
Absolutely. Well, good stuff. I love connecting, Philip. So good to have you on the show, and we'll connect soon again. Thanks for the value that provided to the listeners here, and to those of you listening in. I think this is a great way for you guys to generate leads that no one else is really targeting. And I guess the last question I have for you is, with those people that your clients are targeting, what would they have done before? Would they have, obviously, probably called us off TV, right? But, would they would they normally have Googled somebody? Would they have do you have kind of a statistic on that, or have data on that what they would have done if your clients hadn't gone to the senior living facilities and created those relationships?
So long story short, everyone knows a real estate agent. They usually get caught in the trap of trying to rehab. Most adult children live over 400 miles away from their parents. It's hard enough to rehab a house in your own town. Imagine doing it 400 miles away. They usually get caught in the trap of the real estate agent said to hit the Zillow price, I need to clean this house out. I need to do this list of updates, and they get their head knocked off on the rehab. And so I'm a replacement for all that pain, and I can tell the story very clearly. One of the greatest tools I have is costversusvalueguide.com. Cost versus value guide. For 20 plus years, they've been chronicling your local market of the average cost it does to do routine rehab items in a house. One example is a Midwest bathroom. The average cost to put a bathroom in is around $23,000. The value you get back is around $13,000. So you lose about 40 or 45% of your money, and it doesn't get better. The more things you do, it gets worse. And families, after they type in the third thing, they're like, why would I ever do this? Why would I ever spend money to get half of it back? And the answer is exactly. That's where we as real estate professionals, our offer can be where they're going to net the same. You can tell the story how you can net the same without the effort. No logical people want to do that risk if they can net the same amount with no effort.
Can you give that website again? I typed it in, costversusvalueguide.com.
I think it's costversusvalue.com. I don't know if the word's guide there. If you just go to Google and type in cost versus value guide, it'll find it, but I think it's costversusvalue.com.
Okay, cool.
And hey, and Javier, guys, I just gave you guys, go there. There's a downloadable PDF. Page 7 is worth its weight in gold. Your numbers, you guys will look like heroes with your rehab numbers compared to what the industry averages are.
Yeah, cool. Good stuff, Philip. Well, thanks again. Hopefully people will connect with you and, look you up and take advantage of some of the things that you're doing. So appreciate your time coming on, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it, guys.
All right. See you, bud.